Hello and welcome back to Sing with Cinderella. In this series, I help singers of all different skill levels reach their full singing potential. In today's episode, we're talking about the International Phonetic Alphabet, also known as IPA. This is a standard system that is used to transcribe different kinds of sounds in different languages, and I'm going to teach you 5 different tips and tricks to start to understand the meanings of these things, those different symbols, and start to interpret those and apply them into your singing. If you're excited about this video, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, give it a like, and we'll dive right in. Number 1, what is IPA? IPA stands for the International Phonetic Alphabet. It is based out of mostly Latin letters. That's what it was based off of, and then they incorporated some different letters from different languages as well as some extra symbols that we'll talk about a little bit later. And this is a standard system that was set in the late 19th century that represents different sounds. This was set by the International Phonetic Association and is now used as a standard system. It is used by not only singers, but new language learners, linguists, speech pathologists, actors, so many different fields. You can find IPA transcriptions in dictionaries. These old things, yes, they still exist, and I own one. You can also find it on a ton of online resources, online dictionaries. IPA can save you the embarrassment of mispronouncing someone's name. I mean, the list goes on, but it really helps language learners and foreign language speakers to be able to transcribe and know how to pronounce these unique sounds that belong in each language. It can also serve as a comparison because you might know a certain sound in your own language and then you see that sound again, that symbol, you're going to recognize it in IPA and say, oh, I know this word, it sounds like this in my own language. In this other language, I'm going to make that same exact sound. So that's how you can see it is so incredibly helpful. Find them in textbooks, online resources, the list goes on. In the context of singing, IPA serves as a guide for singers to accurately and authentically represent these different sounds and different languages in their singing. So essentially, IPA helps singers wing it like a pro. What does it look like? In IPA, we're only going to see lowercase letters, except for the I, the capital I. That is the only one that you're going to find in its capital form. Everything else is lowercase. But don't confuse the capital I with the lowercase I because these are two different sounds. We have our closed vowel, which is the lowercase I, which is E, and then we have the uppercase, the capital, and that is an I sound. So those are two different vowels, closed and open. Like I hinted at before, it's mostly Latin letters because that's what the alphabet was based off of, but also later they incorporated some Greek letters and then some other symbols. You'll know you're looking at IPA because IPA always is seen with a bracket surrounding it or slashes. So you have two options, and that's how you're going to decipher, is this just regular text or am I looking at IPA? Because in notes sometimes or in books, they'll be talking, text, and then they'll put in a slash and they'll put in a vowel or put in a word, a phrase with its IPA. And you'll know it's IPA because of those brackets or the slashes. Vowels and consonants. IPA gives clarity to the precise exact sound for each vowel. And this is based on where the vowel is sitting in your mouth, and as a result, what sound is going to come out when you present it. You can actually find a chart online detailing for all different languages where the vowels are placed in your mouth. So it's going to show you a profile in the diagram, so I'll show it to you like this. But it'll show you your front, central, back, as well as high, middle, and low down your cheek. For example, the E vowel. The E vowel is both front, E, as well as high up, versus a dark ah. It falls down. And you have different sounds in different vowels, and that's why some certain notes or some certain words are going to sound so great in your voice, and some not so much. Maybe your high note really rings on a certain vowel, and that's because of the placement in your mouth. Some vowels are also said to be open or closed. So for example, oo, like su, versus book, ok. I'm basically just opening my mouth a little bit more. The first one was closed and the second one was open. Consonants, same thing as vowels. It's all about the placement and how that's going to change the sound that comes out. So you're going to run into voiced and voiceless consonants. Voiceless means that there's just no air coming from your vocal cords. Voiced, however, you're going to be able to feel the vibrations. If you put one hand on your chest and say the difference between v versus f, and then b, p, you can feel the difference. Another one, z, s. You can feel the difference. You feel the vibrations, and then you don't feel the vibrations. We also have a bunch of fancy names for where these consonants fall in our mouths. We have specific names like fricatives, nasals, laterals, all these different things. But for the sake of this video, all that really matters is that it's the manner in which you produce the sound, the tongue, the jaw, all of this, the articulation, the articulators. It's not really magic. It's actually quite strategic when you think about it, but singers are able to master languages by listening to the different sounds, by learning how to articulate differently, placing the sounds. Diacritical marks. So we talked about our vowels, our consonants, but that's not all there is to a language. We have our emphasis. We have our words emphasis, and that's where we come to stress. We have a stress little mark where that's going to be notated by putting a little mark on the top and to the left of the syllable that's being stressed. So in English, the word, for example, tonight. You're not going to say tonight, but rather you say tonight. It naturally goes to that second syllable in that word, for example. So you're going to put that little mark to the left of the syllable that's being stressed, which is the second one, night. Secondary stress. There's also secondary stress, and this is a very similar symbol, except instead of going on top, it's going to go on the bottom and to the left of the syllable. So that's how we know we can differentiate where the first primary stresses versus the secondary stress. In the word episode, I'm going to go watch an episode on Netflix after this. So you have your first primary stress, episode, and then you also have to figure out where your secondary stress is, because if you don't notate it and you don't know the language, like obviously I know the language, I know how episode is supposed to sound. But for someone who's looking at it for the very first time, they're going to need to know how the flow of the word kind of goes, and that's why the stress is so important. Length. This is going to be notated by having a semicolon after the vowel. So, for example, I would say bead versus beat. Each vowel has a different length. Bead is held out longer, so there's more sound. There's a longer time period for me to hold on to that vowel. Bead versus beat. It's off, it's short, super simple. Nasalization. This is a symbol that kind of looks like a squiggle and is placed on top of the sound that you want to make nasal, so it kind of goes to your nose. And so think of an N sound, or like, eh. So those are the most common marks, but there are also other marks. Voiced, voiceless, dental, lowered, aspirated, breathy. It's a super long list that I could name, but if you'd like, you can look these up online. For the sake of this video, those are the most common ones that you're going to see and have to transcribe using. Overall, one sound equals one symbol. IPA Resources. I thought I'd close off this video by giving you some tools to help guide you through this next step. You learned your skills, that's an awesome start, but really to take this to the next step, to start transcribing text yourself and being able to type that out, but also to find texts of songs and read IPA and be able to interpret that and start learning your new repertoire. So my first one is called IPAtypeIt.org. You might look forward and you see your keyboard, and it's just a regular old keyboard where you get all these symbols in IPA that you're going to run into. And that's where this website is so handy. You can also download a keyboard in the App Store, but if you're on the computer, I really recommend IPAtypeIt.org because you can organize on the right-hand side. You can have a full IPA, full keyboard, but you can also look at by language that you're going to be singing in for the specific sounds that you'll only find in those languages. Where to find words? I recommend the dictionary. I feel like I'm in a paid ad. The dictionary. I was not sponsored. This is going to give you the most accurate transcription, but be mindful that sometimes the spoken version of a word, of the language, it's going to be different than how you would sing it. And this is more severe for some languages than others. For example, French, there are a lot of modifications that you do in singing that you don't do for the spoken. And then there are also regional accents. So you have to be careful when you're doing this. For finding song texts, I recommend going to IPASource.net. This is a huge database and it's so helpful. It's mostly accurate. I have found a few mistakes, but it is mostly accurate for beginners especially. I recommend it because it gives you the full IPA transcription of the text. It gives you the original text of the song and also a word-for-word translation, which I think is really helpful to be going along in your song. And you can use it as a guide as you transcribe and then use it as a reference, or you can completely rely on it if you're a beginner. But I do have to tell you that there is a charge for these. It's like $5 for each song. It kind of ranges, but there is a cost. Another really great resource for song texts is this new app called Diction Buddy. Diction Buddy was invented by singers, so you know it's going to be good because it's invented, catered for singers. It goes with you everywhere you go. It's in your pocket, it's on your phone. But what's really unique about this app, which I think is the best feature, is that you get to hear the sounds. You'll have a native speaker speak the text of your song so you can repeat it back and learn your song that way. However, I do have to tell you, it does have a cost. There is a monthly subscription and also an annual subscription. You can look at the app for more details, but I think that it's a really great deal compared to how much it would cost to pay for coachings to learn these new songs. I mean, coachings can cost anywhere from like $40 an hour to like $200 an hour. So at the end of the day, you are saving money. You can actually go to their website and request certain songs if there aren't any in the app that you are looking for. So that's also a really cool thing that you can look into. But I think that this is revolutionizing the singing world. All this new technology, all these new inventions, it's really taking over and changing the way that we do things, our method of instruction, our education. I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see where the world goes. But anyways, I wanted to thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. If you have, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, hit the bell for notifications so you can see my upcoming videos. I'm going to actually be doing a ton more about diction, doing the main languages for classical singing, so watch out for those. Go ahead and let me know in the comments what you found most helpful and what you'd like to see in the future from this channel. And I will see you next time on Sing with Cinderella.